I had stayed late after class helping the teacher get her classroom set for the next day. I had taken my shoes off since I had been in them all day. After hanging some posters and decorations on the wall, I excused myself and went out to the hall to go to the bathroom. The lights were dim as the custodian had turned the lights to night mode. I walked in my socked feet into the bathroom and did my business. As I washed my hands, I heard a noise right outside the door. I opened the door carefully and poked my head out. Down at the end of the hallway to my right stood a ghostly figure of a boy. He looked as if he was lost and suddenly looked in my direction and came towards me. I freaked out and tried to run in the opposite direction toward the classroom. The ceramic tile, slick floor caused me to fall a couple times. I quickly took my socks off and ran in my bare feet to the end of the hallway and into the classroom. The teacher was startled and asked me what had happened. She looked down at my bare feet and asked where my socks were. I told her I took my socks off in the hallway trying to run from the ghost boy. She laughed and said there was no ghost boy. She went on to say that she had worked at the school for nearly 20 years and never saw any ghost. We stepped into the hallway and looked down towards the other end and saw nothing. We walked cautiously to where I took my socks off, and they were both gone. She used her keys to turn on the hall lights and noticed my shredded socks hanging from the ceiling. I retrieved them by getting a lift from the teacher. I stepped one of my bare feet into her cupped hands and she lifted me up. The socks were beyond being useful, but I wanted to keep them as evidence. We walked back to the classroom to retrieve my shoes. The classroom lights were off, and as we entered, both of us saw the ghost boy standing by the dry erase board. In the car, she had a box of wipes for me to use to clean my bare feet off. I thanked her as she dropped me off at my house. She asked me to keep this incident between us, as no one would believe us anyway. The next day, I walked to school wearing flops. He was holding my shoes up and offering them to me. My teacher freaked out and ran back out into the hallway. I followed her. She offered me a ride home as we ran towards the parking lot. I accepted, but as I ran barefoot, I kept on stepping on stones, pebbles, a couple snails, and even a tack. When I walked into her classroom wearing flops, she looked at me and smiled. She took me aside and said, when she returned to school earlier that morning, she found my shoes on the floor. She handed me the bag containing my shoes, and I opened it. Inside were the shredded remains of both shoes. I investigated this ghost boy appearance and found out that other people had seen him. Legend was that it was teenage boy who accidentally died while trying to pull off a prank. He broke in by climbing onto the roof of the school one Friday night and sneaking into a heating duct. He made his way by crawling through the network of tubes until one section gave way and his legs fell through. He frantically tried to get the rest of his body through the duct, but he was stuck. He was found on Monday morning by a janitor cleaning the floors. He came across a pair of dirty shoes laying on the floor, looked around and noticed a pair of legs sticking out of the ceiling. One foot was bare while the other had a sock half on it. By the time the boy was rescued, he had died from asphyxiation. His body was buried at a nearby cemetery. This channel uploads real horror videos, so don't forget to subscribe my channel.